Kitco Mining's special coverage of Fast Markets lithium supply and battery raw materials is brought to you by Lindian Resources.
How did China come to dominate the battery metal sector? I'm with Steve LeVine. He is the editor of The Electric and also the author of The Powerhouse, America, China, and the Great Battery War. Steve, welcome to Kitco.
Thanks so much.
Let's talk about China. Now, you would know, it wasn't very long ago in 2020, this whole sector was death. You looked at some of the share prices of some of the giants that we see in the space right now, like the Bilberas, how they were doing at this point. It just seems that China made some really good bets, and it now has come to dominate the sector. Why did that happen, Steve?
Well, so it's hard to say like what bets China made around 2010. That's when it goes back to this whole story. What bets they made that didn't work out, but they decided at that time, which remember that's the time of the financial crash. And big countries around the world were, lurching and grasping for something to hang their hat on economically, financially. China was too, and China, Japan, South Korea, the United States, all of them, in fact, grasped onto EVs and batteries at that time, but they all let go around 2011 or 2012, except China. China stuck with it, and the two prime examples of that are BYD and CATL, helped along the way by the government with subsidies and then carve-outs. There were carve-outs. If you were a foreign car maker in China, you had to use a local battery maker for your EV. Only one. Well, actually two. So BYD and CATL were both prepared to do this. BYD didn't want to sell to other car makers, so that left CATL. CATL, okay, that was a giveaway, but they're super smart in setting up a vertical supply chain, putting themselves in a position to make all the chemistries, focusing on the quality of the batteries. And so while the automakers like Volkswagen championed CATL, GM did also now tested this. None of them complains about CATL's quality and being right on the top of the game. So not just the quality of some commodity level battery, but right on the cutting edge of commercial EV space. So CATL, from soup to nuts, from the mine all the way through the battery, making the batteries, they do everything. BYD, the same thing. BYD makes its own batteries, semiconductors. It's the brother-in-law of the owner is a lithium miner. And so they have their own lithium. They process all their own lithium. So who do we have? We've got Elon Musk. He's not as vertically integrated as the Chinese. So just to wrap this up, the Chinese and specifically these companies made a big bet. They got ahead of demand. It was a gamble, and it's paying off for them.
Steve, where does that put the North American and the European automakers? When I look at what's happening with batteries and, with the Inflation Reduction Act, it seems like and we'll talk about that in a minute, but there seems to be a real pulling back or trying to get back the manufacturing might because we've kind of let it get outsourced for many decades. But you look at the lead that the electric vehicle sector has got within China, especially with BYD. I will look at the numbers like in the first quarter. You see that BYD, mind you, this is plug-in as well as electric, but they had 100,000 more units that went out than Tesla. it looks like it's going to be very hard for the North American automakers to catch up, especially with all of the legacy.
Yeah, I think Tesla's in a different category. So Tesla is okay. They will that figure of sales for BYD. I think that includes hybrids and
Correct, it does. Yes.
And pure electrics, which is an important. That's not a nuance like that. That's important. The other car makers, I worry about them. I worry about Ford, GM, Stellantis, Volkswagen, Honda, Toyota. They're trying, right? They're making a sincere effort. Especially we see, I think Volkswagen is, and Ford and GM. Their CEOs are serious about making the transition. You can see that in the amount of capex that they're putting into the transition. And GM, creating its own software and battery divisions. That's and they did that in 2019. That's not just now. So that's serious too. Volkswagen, PowerCo, it's battery company, but they're late. They're late, and let's just take an example. So all of them have made a huge bet on nickel-based batteries. China and Tesla, the two leaders in the field, are almost entirely iron-based batteries. Why? Because two reasons. One, LFP, that's the iron-based battery, tends to be cheaper than NMC, the nickel-based battery, but also fewer bottlenecks, right? Potential bottleneck, right? With NMC, you've got nickel, manganese, cobalt, and lithium. 4 potential bottlenecks. With LFP, only lithium. 1 bottleneck. So you're going here. So you've got BYD's a juggernaut, Tesla's a juggernaut, Ford, VW, GM, not really. And so why are they sticking with this battery chemistry that is plainly inferior on a practical level to what the Chinese and so I think the future, what it looks like is that BYD continues on this trend. Tesla does too. Ford, the market's big enough for everyone, but the amount of the pie that they get is going to be very, very, very different from today. I see Ford. We can already see it shrinking. It's stopped making sedans. It's focusing on its trucks, on its SUVs, and one sedan. If you want to call it that, the Mustang, and so I see those, the legacy companies shrinking. They're, can we call them losers? I don't know if they're losers, but they get marginalized.
Steve LeVine, we're here at the Fast Markets Lithium Show, and you can talk to an automaker, you can talk to a supplier, you can talk to a junior, you can talk to a miner, and everybody will say, like, a bedrock, a pillar, what they're leaning against is going to be the Inflation Reduction Act. It's just been monumental in terms of actually setting both up the carrots and the sticks within the space as well, too. And you see all of the investment that has gone out to kind of these downstream facilities, whether it being lithium, rare earths, cobalt, for instance, and then it's gone all throughout the States as well, too. I just wonder, though, is it potentially in peril right now? Because how politicized has it become? How much has become associated with the Democratic's agenda, and therefore something consequently that the Republicans have to oppose?
Yeah. History says that it is in peril, right? Because our polarized, partisan, hyper-partisan system creates these situations that if a law was implemented, was conceived of and implemented by the opposite party, the first thing you do is get rid of it, right? No matter what that program is. We saw that with Obamacare back in 10 or so years ago. And so I do expect, if Republicans win the White House, if they win both houses of Congress, that's possible. It's possible next year. I do see, even though most of the largesse of the IRA, the infrastructure bill, and the loans program, which is the biggest piece of the pie, $250 billion in potential loans. These are all in peril. I think they shouldn't be. It's the most impressive, like totally unexpected. The United States, they're in peacetime, there is not a precedent for the United States having an industrial policy of that scale. It's serious. The U.S. It's mind-boggling. You would not have predicted that the U.S. could and would do this. It has. The outcome is all in the execution. How will it be executed? We're getting these battery gigafactories. And what about the minerals? The minerals processing for the components that go into the batteries. Will we get that? I don't know. Yeah. But that we're serious, that the U.S. is serious about it, that's without question.
Lastly, Steve, I'm interested in what are the trends that you're looking at in the lithium space. I mean, it has been a busy year. So you looked at the beginning of 2023, you saw the collapse, and then we've seen the comeback in lithium prices. We had, how would you say, the near nationalization, semi-nationalization, nationalization light down in Chile with the lithium mines. And then talking before about kind of the rise in BYD, the numbers that have come out that they've been able to do, the collapse of the sales of the major North American automakers into China. What are the trends? What are the things that you're going to be keeping your eye on in the lithium sector for the rest of 2023?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a short span. I think it's better to look longer, like maybe 2023, 2024, 2025.
It's been a long year, Steve.
Yes, it's crazy. But the thing is about lithium is very smart people in this field have very different forecasts for supply, which is not let's put prices aside.
Yeah.
Are we going to have enough, or are we not going to have enough? And I find it very puzzling, right? That at this conference, right, and people differ, right? Are we going to be in surplus this year, next year? Will the mines come on? Will DLE work? Look, I'm trying to keep track of it. And I think like the best thing to do is just maybe just don't forecast. Just watch and then just make your analysis based on what you're watching at the moment and try to stay flexible.
Steve, where can people find you?
They can find me at the Electric, of course, on Twitter and on LinkedIn. I appreciate hearing directly from readers, and if anyone wants to email me directly, they can, steve@theinformation.com.
Steve, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Michael McRae here at Fast Markets 15th Lithium Supply and Raw Battery Materials Show in Henderson, Nevada.
Kitco Mining's special coverage of Fast Markets Lithium Supply and Battery Raw Materials is brought to you by Lithium Resources.